Okay, so we found the black Scottish people.
We did. We did.
Where are the black Russians?
Hmm.
Hmm? I need to hear a black person speak Russian.
Okay, Auntie, I'm on it.
Меня зовут Ярдан, я
Yep.
черным, и
Hmm.
я живу в России.
Okay.
Я из России. Я говорю по-русски. Мои родители живут в России. Моя папа американка и моя мама русская.
From the shores of Africa to the boroughs of America, and now the streets of Moscow and St. Petersburg, the Black experience continues to stretch across borders and time. Today, we gather around this digital fire, like our ancestors did around the drums, to share resilience, survival, and identity. Listen, we are all over the world, people. We are all over the world. And diaspora wars, whatever you want to call it, is a good way for us to bring our blackness together. Let's just be honest. Let's just be honest. Let's bring it all together. So, in this mashup, we got some Black Russians to talk about, and we got some history and things to learn. So, the whole reason why we're doing this is to learn about each other, right? It's to learn about each other and understand that even though you're Black in another place, a lot of times we have a lot of similarities. So, say hi to our cousins down in the chat. You know, I do try to respond to all the messages. I got a lot of them, so I'm playing catch up. But you will get a response. Leave a message for your auntie and uncles down there as well in Russia, United States, and our newfound cousins over in Scotland. We didn't forget about y'all. And let's keep doing it. Let's keep. If this is your first time here, I appreciate you coming to the channel to hang out with me and the rest of the coves. I appreciate y'all liking and watching these videos. It means a lot. I got a couple of lives coming up soon. Let me know what y'all think about that. And I got a couple of community tabs coming. Leave all your response below. If y'all want to see me hit up another nation first, let me know. I'm here for good conversation and talk. You know, I ain't really seen too much negative stuff. Everybody's been real. You know, I try to keep it real, y'all. Because I tell you what, I could be the biggest hater. Because I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. Yep. K-Dot is my rap goat. He was my rap goat, for real. And yes, Auntie got her wish to come through. She wanted to hear a Black person speak Russian, and she got it. But you know what? This guy's actually American. Side note, he's American. But let's finish up Nephew's thing, because Nephew got a lot of information for us. So let's get it.
Моя мама русская. Добро пожаловать в русский TikTok. I'm kidding. I'm an American that learned Russian for like 4 years. But yes, there are actual Black Russians because during the Civil Rights era, a lot of Black people left America and some of them went to Russia. I didn't know that till I did the research. And seeing like dark-skinned Black people speak Russian, it's just surreal. Like I was speaking it, yes, obviously, but I don't know if I sound like a native. I think I sound pretty good, but when people like not only speak Russian and are Black, but then speak English with a Russian accent, it's just like, wow, this is so interesting. It's so cool. There's even a dark-skinned Black woman who's a news anchor on one of the, I don't know which Russian news network it is, but it's just so cool to see. And when it comes to people calling Black Americans stupid because we don't know that there are pockets of Black people in certain lands, that doesn't make you stupid. I don't know if y'all realize that America is a cult, and they really make you focus primarily on the cult. America is very like self-centered and focused on itself. Take it from someone who grew up in a different kind of cult, a Jehovah's Witness. They make you focus on the group. They praise the group. They solely, primarily focus on the group, and that's what America does. You know, if this is supposed to be the best country in the world, why would they teach you about what goes on in other lands? They don't even teach you the correct history of their own country. So I need the Black Brits to stop, to just fuck off. Like, stop calling us stupid because you can't relate to the limited knowledge that some people have. It's not that deep. It really isn't that deep. Oh, you don't know that you guys don't know that black Scottish people existed? Like, shut the fuck up. Relax. I feel like y'all are chomping at the bit to call black Americans dumb. We live inside of a cult. We live inside of a cult, and not everybody has access to information, and not everybody cares. You know, besides living inside of a cult, people have their own lives.
True.
What is learning about what other people are doing in another country, is that going to benefit someone, you know, in their life necessarily? No. This is not knowledge you have to have. It's not life or death. It's really not that deep. Y'all are just, a lot of y'all are still have anti-blackness to work through. You need to decolonize your minds. Instead of chomping at the bit to call black Americans stupid, maybe try to relate to them. Maybe try to understand why they don't know some things that you know. You live inside of a cult too, motherfuckers. The UK is also a cult. America and the UK, a white supremacist conglomerate. Just because you live inside of a different education system that might enlighten you on certain things doesn't mean other people do. So get your panties out of your bloody wad and take a fucking chill pill. At Knis, suka. And one more thing, at the end of the day, y'all could show a lot more humanity to your fellow skin folk. There's no reason to be as catty and judgmental as a lot of y'all are. I don't know where you get this from. Must be the colonizer.
Well, that was a lot there. Hey, UK catching strays. Black UKs are catching strays. Now, y'all need to let me know down in the comments if that's warranted or not. Oh man, I'm on my other camera today. I like the quality on the other camera better, but the thing about this one, it follows me. So I like that, you know, if something happens and I have to get out of the way, it could chase me around the room. But listen, that was a good history lesson. You know, during the Soviet Union, like they've always invited Black Africans to study, to work, and to build bridges over there. You know, this is all a history lesson for everybody to learn from this. And I got a mashup clip here with people that were born in Russia, lived in Russia, and there are going to be a lot of different stories. I work with somebody that's Russian for years. I want to say about 15 years now. And we spoke about that when I met him. And he said, oh yeah, there's tons of Black Russians. He's always told me that. So I've always knew they were Russian. So let me know what y'all think about these Black Russians down in the comments. If this is your first time here, I appreciate you coming through. And just hit the like button so this video get out to more people and they could experience what you just did.
Привет, меня зовут Карл. Я выхожу из продуктового магазина. I just leave grocery store, and the girl, she said, "Oh, you have nice accent. Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Russia." And she said, "Oh, do you play basketball in Russia? I know a lot of Americans, they go and play basketball." I said, "No, I'm not American. I am Russian who does Russian thing." She said, "Oh, because..."
If you didn't understand, he said basically, did you come here to play basketball, stuff like that. That's what she meant. So his daddy could have been an athlete then and left some.
My friend dad, he played basketball in Russia. I'm not your friend's dad. I'm not your friend's dad. I am Black Russian who does Russian thing. Что это такое? But excuse me. She said, "Oh, do you like New Jersey?" I said, "Of course not. It is just as cold and miserable as Russia, but the vodka is much worse." Mother Russia.
Yep, she knows. Let me show you. Here is me with my mother, who was visiting St. Petersburg on this picture. And there's a picture of me and my dad. Flick with the sister at the red square? Yeah. If you want to see more pictures, just tell me.
We're everywhere. And actually, you can clearly see that's his sister right there.
So hold on. Моя мама русская и мой отец африканский. Что еще сказать? Вот вы смотрели за меня, и я здесь сейчас. My mom is Russian, my dad's African, and here I am.
Now, when you look at this picture, right, who y'all see black people? I see Auntie. She actually resembles my sister at one point in life. Like, look just like her, you know, and that's the thing, to hear the dialect, but it's just, but what show was that? Was that Rick and Morty, when they used to go to all these different universes and each of them had a character in that universe? It's kind of like what this is. We're now finding out that we actually can, because you know what it is too? Like, for instance, say you're trying to learn another language. Like, if we sit here and try to learn Russian, you'll think it's the hardest thing in the world. Black people can't learn Russian. Black people can't learn, think of a Japanese, any language. And then when you see another black person doing it, it changes your whole mindset. And that those are things that register in people's mind, but they don't really speak it. But those are things that come out at first when you be like, oh, I'm halfway there already.
I'm black in Russia. Of course, everyone asks us, how is the war? And we're like, which war? I'm black in Russia. Of course, no one wants to sit next to me in the bus. I'm black in Russia. Of course, kids scream and run when they see me. I'm black in Russia. Of course, I fall in every winter. I'm black in Russia. Of course, I can't find shades of my makeup in these stores. I'm black in Russia. Of course, everyone is going to ask if this is my real hair. Duh. I'm black in Russia. Of course, I have more winter clothes. I'm black in Russia. Of course, I respond to everything with Yani Panimayu. I'm black in Russia. Of course, everyone wants to practice their English with me. Hello, привет.
And that is the real thing. I remember when I was in Costa Rica and I met up with an Argentinian couple, and he was using me as practice and I was using him as practice, because actually we still talk. I got to link up with them because I want to hit Argentina soon.
In the States, and this guy asks me, oh, where are you from? And I say, I'm from Russia. And he's like, no, I mean, like, where are you from? And I'm like, I'm from Russia, motherfucker. And he's like, okay, then where are your parents from? And I say, imagine, they're from Russia too. And he's like, well, I thought that you were Asian. Fuck a motherfucker for your maka. I am Asian.
We got a lot of cousins out here that we need to say hi to. That look like, what is that, auntie? No, she's not auntie. She's still cousin. That's cousin. Say hi to y'all cousins out here. Make sure y'all leave your comments down below. Send a message out to the Black Russians out there. Let them know we here. And well, I can't really say much when it comes to Russia, but we got the Scottish over there who we should meet up in Scotland. That's what it is. Russians, Black Russians. Let's meet up in Scotland for the barbecue. Now, we should invite the Brits too, and the South Africans. We should definitely invite them. If they don't come, they don't come. But we should definitely put the invite out to everyone. You know, we all need to meet up, have the cookout in Scotland, we could have like a Black Diaspora festival / barbecue cookout. Let's work on that down in the comments. We're going to put that together.
Is there black people in Russia? That's the question I get so much after moving to the United States. Mind you, most of my life in America, I spent in New Orleans and in Louisiana. So I was mostly working and just around Black Americans. And that was a popular question. So yes, there is black people in Russia. Obviously, they didn't get there the same way that Black Americans got to America, if you know what I mean. Russia didn't have the same history that the West did. Russia kind of took a shortcut. You know, America, like, when looking for people, like, gross. Russia was just like, why would we do that? Just take those ugly poor people that we already have and make them slaves. So all the people of African ancestry that do live in Russia usually immigrated to Russia at some point, usually for school. Actually, one of the most famous poets in Russia, like a very iconic writer, huge part of our culture, was partially African. If you are a Black American or a person from an African country, if you go to Russia, people are probably going to look at you, but not because they're like racist, they're just fascinated. So yeah, yes, there's black people in Russia.
That was his experience. And the one thing that we learn is when you're not part of a certain culture, you can't really tell people how everyone else is going to treat that particular culture or race, I should say. So, of course, you know, there's a lot of good and there's bad. And that white guy says, you know, in Russia, they're more likely to look at you because they're afraid of you. They haven't seen you before, but they're not racist. Don't worry about that. But we need to check in with our Black Russians and get the real tea, right? Let's get the real. So this content creator right here is a TikToker. He go by the name Shamar Dickers or something like that. Hopefully I didn't get that too wrong, but his TikTok is Shortman3000. And he has been he's been pushing a lot of this. He was one of the main people that was looking for the Black Russians, and he put out the call. And this lady here appeared on his live. He did a show, and she is a Black Russian, and she's going to tell some of her stories and her experiences in Russia and when she did live in Russia. She was born there.
For Black people in Russia, I mean, I could have been under a rock along with Patrick or something.
Patrick.
It's hard to find Black Russians because it's such a small amount of us. I was born there. I lived there for 9 years, and my 9 years were held because I was living in orphanages from birth to 9. I was the only Black kid in all the orphanages. So with me being the only Black kid, I dealt with a lot of stuff, a lot of racism, and racism there is on a different level. The racism that I experienced in Russia was consumed with abuse. We're talking about everything under the umbrella, and I am just now being open about it.
Wow. We really appreciate you for just being transparent about this and choosing us in my platform to actually want to be open about it.
That's amazing. That's what's really going on around the world. You know, we could all heal together, people, Black people. We could all heal together. Just by sharing stories could change your whole mood of your day and do something positive. Just by hearing someone else's win could change your day into a win as well. Definitely. So I wanted to put that behind the first, you know, with the kid. I mean, I'm with the white guy. I'm not gonna say white guy, with the palm guy. Nah, I'm not gonna say that. Behind the other video, because his experience as a different race in Russia is clearly a different experience. You know, her growing up in an orphanage didn't help either, because that means she had no protection. She had no parents to stand behind her. But I am loving all these conversations. I'm loving. So this is the same lady you just saw, but now she's on her own TikTok. So let's hear it.
Hi you guys, I just want to respond to the last video that I have uploaded. It has been a pleasure meeting everybody. Now, I'm going to answer your question. Yes, there's Black Russians, but the thing is, it is hard to find us because some of you guys have noticed that you have not met us, and that is because it's rare, right? I was born in Russia. I lived there for 9 years. With that being said, my life in Russia was hell. But I am just now, as an adult, relearning my language, right? I am just now, as an adult, learning the actual Russian culture that I have never had an experience with because I lived in orphanages all my 9 years in Russia, right? And then when I got adopted, I wasn't exposed to any of the Russian culture, so I'm just now learning it, which has been fun, but at the same time it has been a little bit emotional to a point where, like, I am realizing that I should have had experience and exposure to my Russian culture, right? But with that being said, welcome to my page. You're gonna find a lot of things. You're gonna find food, you're going to find art. I am working on my memoir that is about my life in Russia and my adoption and who I am as a person, and that's gonna be out in 2026. So that is like the craziest thing that I've been working on lately. yes, welcome. Stay if you want, go as you please, and you're gonna find a little bit of everything. I hope you guys have a good day.
See how she ended that conversation, just like Black people around the world? You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here. Time to go. Get it.
Y'all scared to say it, but I'm not. The quiet part about this situation is Black is fine in Russian. Black is fine in Scottish. Black is fine in Japanese. Black is just fine. Like, my God, today.
Hey, if y'all agree with that, make sure y'all like this video. Black is fine everywhere. Make sure y'all leave a comment down there. Black is fine everywhere. I should put that on a t-shirt, right? I know I'm definitely proud of him. But hey, one thing y'all can tell, right? He don't look like no Russian. He look just like we do. He got his nice little sweatsuit on, whatever that is. And I'm sure he got it right up in the store too. Because you remember, before this whole thing started, there was a lot of American companies in Russia as well. A lot of it. But you can see right there, we still dress with our swag. We still got it. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter where you are in the world. Black people act, dress a certain way. You know, it has to be, if not right, sometimes perfect. And if it ain't perfect, you ain't leaving the house. That's just the way it is sometimes. But look at the swag. Look at the drip. He got it going on. Because, you know, that's one thing about Black people. They care about the way they look. They don't just go outside to go outside. I mean, of course, you're going to get a couple of people who don't give a crap.
All right, so like I'm intrigued by Black Scottish TikTok right now, but now they're finding the Black Russians. And the Black Russians, I always knew about Black Russians because 1,000 years ago, there was this show, Dateline. Now, y'all gonna know Dateline from like Chris Hansen doing that whole thing. Dateline used to just do public interest stories. Like, they were just like this little news thing that they did public interest stories before it turned into the whole Chris Hansen situation. But back in, like, I want to say the 90s, there was this Black Russian lady who had this very, very popular TV show in Russia. It was like geared toward young people. It was about intimacy and relationships and stuff. It was like wildly popular.
This is the same thing that the guy talked about earlier. So apparently there was a show in Africa where...
And they interviewed her. And she was like, yeah, I'm Black. I live in Russia. I'm Russian, blah, blah, blah. And then they told you the story of how Black people got to Russia. Now, I'm not saying, let me caveat this and say, I'm not saying this happened to all the Black people that live in Russia. I'm not saying that. I don't know everybody's individual damn story, but this is how it was told to me and who she was descended from. So, back in the early part of last century, right? Like the early part, like the early 1900s, the early 20s, the early 1900s. Which that pains my heart saying that, but whatever. Because I was born in 78, so that pains my heart. However, after I want to say the Bolsheviks, but don't quote me on that. But after they got rid of their monarchy, after they got rid of the czars, and communism came into fashion, basically, they were like, well, we need people to come over here. Where are we gonna get these people from? Because like people in Russia don't really want to, not Russia, people from like Europe don't really want to come over here. Where are we gonna get some extra people to come? Because we need people. So somebody got it in their head like, oh wow, there's a whole group of people being oppressed over in America. Why don't we scoop some of them up and tell them, hey, we're communist. We don't have racism. We don't believe in racism because it's just everybody helping everybody. So That's what they said to a bunch of black people in America. They were like, hey, you're being oppressed over here. Why don't you come over there? We don't do that over there. We just hang out and we're chill. I don't really know how true that was. It might have started out that way and then things just fell off and went into oblivion after Stalin took over. I don't know. I wasn't there. But yeah, that's what they told a bunch of black people. And some black people took them up on the offer, was like, well, you could do worse. Like, being here is like a lot worse, being terrorized by terrorist groups and like, yeah, we can do a lot worse. So a bunch of black people took Russia up on the offer and toddled off to Russia. And that is how some black people got to Russia. And that is how you get black Russians. I know. I did not know that until that lady. They did their whole story on Dateline on that black lady. But yep, that is how some black people ended up in Russia, and black Russians are a thing. So it's just like black people are just everywhere. It's like, it's just, unfortunately, as Americans, we don't get told these stories because the overarching theme is usually, well, you go somewhere else, you may get treated worse somewhere else. So, you know, you just stick over here. At least you know what's going to happen. I guess better the devil you know kind of thing. So that's why. But I did know that story. And then it got reiterated again like several years ago, because there was like, it's kind of a propaganda channel, but they used to have this Russian propaganda channel on the Play Button channel. And they reiterated that story, and I was just like, oh yes, I remember that story. So, yep, that's how you get black Russians. So, you learned something today.
Africans were invited to study, work, and build bridges of solidarity. Yet, in the echoes of that history, blackness in Russia still walks a path, both familiar and unique. Russia has long been a crossroad of empires and identities, but the presence of Black Russians reminds us that history is not only written in momentum, but it is in the lives of those who carry African with them. And that's a foreverness. We saw a brother right there in Russia, looked like he was dressed like a dude I saw in the Bronx last week. Same thing. Same outfit, same drip. You know, no matter where we stand, Harlem, Lagos, Moscow, Tobago, we are a part of a living testimony that blackness cannot be contained by borders, nations, and empires. The diaspora is not about distance. It's about connection. And every time we share these conversations, we remind the world that we are not strangers, but we are kings and queens, yo. Now, you saw how that lady on the podcast was able to tell her story, something she never told for years. If you made it this far, like the video, you might as well subscribe and share the video. I appreciate you coming through, watching me, checking me out. Across the seas, across the lands, we rise. We build with gifted hands. And though the world may draw this lines, our souls connect beyond all time. This is Peapod Cove Life. Hit the rewind, watch it again. I love you. See y'all in the next one. Peace.